How's it going, guys? Disclosure Artist here. It's a beautiful day. I am back in the park and it is the weekend, so there are literally thousands of people here. I have gone to the farthest corner of a field just to escape the screaming of children, but as you can tell, there's still more on the way. But today I'm going to be discussing, because I thought it was an appropriate time after the very scary night terror that I had, and just historically what's going on, and I thought it would be a really good time for me to go over some of the disclosure related dreams that I've had over the years, ones that really popped out at me and I still remember, and I wrote down, and who knows if they're going to be useful one day. But I'm just going to start from as early as I can remember. I remember when I was under 5 years old having this weird dream where the threshold of my bedroom door had like a plastic layer over it, kind of what you see when you're put in isolation, like in the movie E.T. when they fill the whole house with plastic wrap. And I felt like it was like my father or some figure coming through that doorway. That's the only thing I remember about that dream. Fast forward a few more years, I'm like probably 8 years old at this point. I remember having a weird entity attachment looking type of dream. There was like this Cthulhu type of entity. As far as I can describe it the best from when I was a kid, it was like a volcano with tentacles squirming around on the floor, about a foot high. That's all I can really remember about it. Around the same time, I had a really weird dream where, as far as I understand, I was in an underground artificial facility because they had fake lighting, there was fake grass, and there was moving sidewalks. I always remember that dream still to this day. We're gonna fast way forward now until I'm like 18 years old. I had a lot of disclosure related dreams when I was in my 20s, and that's what the bulk of these are gonna be. I remember having a really disturbing child abduction dream, which was, I remember being a child in a child's body, even though I was an adult when I had the dream. I remember being in a child's body, locked in the back of a car, and then I was brought upstairs, and there was somebody performing cannibalism, and it was really, really disturbing, and we'll just leave it at that. Fast forward many years, again, no, I'm still in my 20s now. I remember having a dream where I was a child, again, in a 1950s classroom setting, and the teacher, I remember she pulled down the screen, or she pulled it up, and behind it was a chalk drawing on the blackboard of a UFO. And I remember her telling the kids to pull out their textbooks. It was like an alternate reality if like cover-ups never happened and they just had transparency. It was as if that was the reality that the dream was in. And I remember children asking questions, and I remember the teacher going, well, we don't know who they are or where they are, but they've begun communication. And it was as if we were in the period of history where they were now being open as far as the fact that they're here and that they wish us positive intentions. So it was a really interesting positive dream. Around the exact same time, this is when I was in film school, I started to get all of these disclosure dreams, coincidentally. I remember walking through the woods. I wasn't even a male. I was like an androgynous, naked, bald, female even possibly, body, walking through very, very green, dense foliage, and I come up across this, I guess you could call it a rock face, but it was still covered in dense green, beautiful, rich foliage. And it was almost like early in the morning, where there's still like mountain dew, like 5 o'clock in the morning or something, and there was this, the scene, I guess you could say, reveals this white egg-shaped pod just blatantly sticking out. I mean, you could see the object, how much it didn't fit into its surroundings because of its just pure whiteness. It was like an egg. And I recall walking over to this pod, and the front of it slid open, and I crawled in, and I was in kind of this angle, not totally flat on my back, but looking up towards the sky. And there was like this telepathic communication that began as soon as I entered this piece of technology. And I recall at that point a silver disc, flying saucer, making its way slowly over the hill as if to initiate a communication with me. It was fascinating, to say the least. It was an astonishingly powerful dream. Around the same time, I had a dream that I was among some rich elite class. I was at a party where everybody was wearing tuxedos and dresses, some sort of ball, gala. It looked and appeared to be a conventional ballroom setting, but there was a point where all the guests were later on ushered out onto a half-circle, large balcony, kind of like what you see in Aladdin, where Jasmine's on her balcony, except around the entire perimeter of the balcony were different colored UFOs. Personal sized ones, I want to say no more than 12 feet in diameter, all rich shiny colors, red, green, blue, gold, all these different colors. They were man-made in my opinion because I could see inside them, and they were richly furnished, as if detailed the way that a stretch limousine would be. And people were getting into these craft for, I guess you could say, end of the evening tours of the galaxy. And I felt very privy to be a part of this. And you could see down off the balcony that the structure was thousands of feet in the air. Who knows what planet this was happening on, or what time period, or what dimension. I had another dream where I was in some sort of condo apartment near the water, and a craft came right up to the window, and it was just hovering right outside the window, and I was just looking right at it. I could see the mechanics of how it was working. Very, very powerful dream. I've had a lot of flying dreams, a lot of jumping dreams I may have mentioned in previous videos. I swim a lot. I also grew up on a trampoline, and I own these things called power risers, or as they're known, jumping stilts. And I'm a firm believer in cellular memory, how the things we do when we're physically awake can affect our dreams. So whenever I have flying dreams, it's very much like the Matrix. It's not like I'm flapping around like a bird or something, for example. There's a lot of soaring, pushing off of walls. They're often in very, very high ceiling structures, mostly indoors, my flying dreams. They're mostly in front of crowds of people. I'm usually the only person who can do it. And sometimes it's not super easy to control, as in you can't quite get off the ground, because it's a psychological thing where you have to control it with your mind to make sure you can do it correctly. I also climb a lot of trees, so I have the mental memory of being high off the ground. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but yeah, I often feel like I'm exploring these old buildings, these mystery schools, where there's other people there my age, and I'm showing off a skill that I can do. And yeah. As far as my jumping dreams, I'm almost always outside, and it's powerful because I can get super high, and sometimes I jump so high that I'm reluctant to land because I know it's going to hurt my feet because I've gone higher than I'm, let's say, prepared to. And often making my way down the sidewalk or through towns, And it's some of the most, I've had more jumping dreams as far as recurring dreams than any other type of dream. So I thought I'd mention that. I had a really strange dream once where I was in what can only be described as some sort of ritual room, because I call it the red ritual room because the only part I can remember is it was most likely subterranean because the room had no windows. It was wall-to-wall red. I want to say curtains, lavish curtains lining the walls. The carpet was red. There was a platform with a king-size bed on it, also all decked out in red sheets. There was 4 steps carpeted leading up to the bed, and the ceiling was probably, I don't know, 50 feet high. And I got the feeling that some sort of sexual deviance occurred in that room in secrecy. Let's leave it at that. I don't know where I got these visuals. I know that David Lynch, when he was creating Twin Peaks, would do a lot of meditation. He'd get a lot of this Masonic imagery from doing so. And perhaps this is where some of this is coming from. I don't know. Let's see. I've had another dream where I was making my way down the street, I want to say in more of a mountainous suburban neighborhood because there was a hill. And I got the strangest feeling that I was being followed. Now, sure enough, as I stop from mailbox to mailbox and turn around and keep checking on to see if I am in fact being stalked by something, and I am, and it turns out to be this modular UFO. I want to say 3 feet by 2 feet at the most in size. And every time I turn around, it changes, it's around the size of a recycling bin, or like I said, a mailbox. And every time I turn around, it's morphing into a different form of a neighbor's chimney, or becoming some sort of add-on to their house, so as not to be noticed. Kind of like the UFOs you see in the end of AI. These super form shape-shifting, blending in with what's all around us type of craft. And I could tell it was intelligent, and I could tell it was friendly, but it was just eerie because, it was clearly trying to see what I was doing or where I was going. Really weird dream. I don't want to send any panic, but I've had a good number of I don't know, startling dreams. I'm gonna name one right now. I was making my way down Hollywood Boulevard in the city of Los Angeles, California, in my dream, and it seemed as though the streets had been emptied because we were under some sort of alien attack. And I remember hiding in a derelict vehicle. I believe one of the car doors was missing. That's how I was able to crawl in. And while I was in there, hoping not to get noticed, I felt some sort of tractor beam pulling the car up off the ground. I remember it kind of twisting in the air as it was being lifted up, and I could see the ground below me. I was at least 20 feet in the air. This is just your classic silver flying saucer disc craft. And I think it just dropped the car on the ground with me in it. I managed to survive the landing, whereupon I crawled out into a alleyway where I found a drain pipe, took that, crawled Shawshank Redemption style until I got to the beach, where I found the rest of society, a community, whatever, survivors, people that were trying to live. Real freaky dream. Not saying there's going to be a Project Bluebeam or fake alien attack, but they do say listen to dreams, and might as well record the ones that I got because they're meaningful. I've had a dream where I was left alone to kind of explore like a college campus, and I ended up wandering into this strange low-ceiling circular library where at one end there was like this captain of a ship wheel, and in the middle like a green gem. And to me it was indicative of secret knowledge. like a hidden library that the public does not have access to. It felt very ominous to be in this room in my dream. I remember having a dream where I rode a bicycle. This has got to be another life or dimension, to a school. I got the impression that it was in Ireland for some reason. And when I got there, the school was being held in this stone castle almost, I guess, whereupon I made my way up the stairs, stone circle staircase, until I got to the top room, where there was a room full of students, all standing in a circle with a professor standing in the middle, and he had this stone box that he set on the floor, and I guess we were all kind of just gathering around it for some sort of energy, I don't know what we were doing, seance. And of course, as he begins to allude to opening the box, the dream ended. I woke up, but it inspired me, to say the least, to use certain skills at my disposal to help move the agenda forward. We'll leave it at that for now. Again, that's a stone tower dream, I call it. We can return to that later. Yeah. I've had lots of weird dreams where I'm doing parkour, or I'm training in this facility that has multiple platforms, some here, some up here, some up here. Just not your conventional training facility. Almost like I was on American Gladiators. And of course there was multi-level swimming pools as well. This keeps happening as well, where I keep returning to this weird, there's always like at least 10 other people with me. You swim in one swimming pool down here, there's a chamber, and you go up into another one. Lots of dreams like that. I don't know where they're coming from. I had a dream that I was standing in front of a window, and a blue orb came through the window, I want to say 4 feet by 4 feet in diameter, and there's 2 other females with me, and the 3 of us got kind of just picked up in it, and we're kind of just like babies on our back inside of this thing, and it just shot off into space. That was profound. I'll never forget that dream. I've had dreams that I was on field trips that I don't remember going on. There's like the memory of like being on a bus with like a bunch of other children, and I'm not really sure where we're going. And yeah, we could get into those later. I had a dream where I was an old man, like at least 75 years old, and I was sitting in a field. I had a house. There was no one else around. This house was made of glass. All the walls were transparent. And inside the house, it was just a 1-story house, but it looked a little bit like there was maybe some technology to the structure on the outside. But on the inside, it was like stacked with catalogs and all types. What my mind to me was saying was a lifetime of research, or a lifetime of information gathered. I mean, because there's like I said, catalogs stacked to the ceiling all behind me, and I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm surrounded by my family, grandchildren, children. There's at least 12 different people standing around me, and there was a moment where the house kind of changes a little bit of a shape. Maybe like the roof opened up. I'm not really sure what happened, but it was like a craft was coming to take me away at the end of my life, type of thing. It was a very fulfilling dream. It implied that I lived a rich, meaningful life, and that my family recognized it, and were there to honor my, let's say, moving on to the next realm. I had a dream where I not in my human body. I was in a blue, scaly only where I could use his alien form, and my partner was also one of such beings. And I could see us fully standing in a room, and it was very powerful. I had a dream that one of my friends from childhood, who had a house in the woods, had a subterranean forest bunker, and I remember that being all decked out. Pretty interesting. I'll probably do a video in the future talking about my strange friends that I grew up with. A lot of my friendships I've had just perfectly for 10 years, and that was it. And they were suspicious. Again, I'll put that information in another video. I've had a lot of dreams about being in a self-driving car in a completely empty world. Now, this again could also be as a result of, you know, all the driving that I've been doing for the past couple years. But who knows? Who knows? The world is looking strange sometimes when I go outside and I expect there to be people and there's just no one around. Unlike today, where there's thousands of people. And I'm glad it's not a post-apocalyptic world. There was one time where I attempted a short-term detox, and among the things I was using was iodine, or potassium iodide supplements. And oh my goodness, this deserves its own thing, but I'm going to put it in this video. The dream I had as a result of taking this pill goes as follows. Like I said, I skated here today. I skate quite a bit, and there's a segment of this skate where I go around a soccer field. And this dream, I was what felt like in a clone body, because it was that soccer field, only it was like in a controlled underground reproduction of it, because the ceiling appeared to be domed. It was all dark. I felt as though, okay, so I was wearing like a brown smock, and I was being kind of marched in a circle with like 50 to 100 other people dressed exactly the same way. And I recall seeing a celebrity in that group as well. Gonna omit names for the time being from all my videos until further notice. And as we're kind of just lulling along, all of a sudden the lights go dark, and what can only be described as total chaos ensues, almost like Operation Chaos, like flip the switch. Next thing I know, I see people running around, screaming, ducking for cover. I hear machine guns going off. I see bombs blowing up in the field. I see dirt flying everywhere. I literally look over and I see a car, a guy driving some sort of SUV with a stuffed animal behind the wheel. It was just absolute pure mayhem. And it was almost like to see like how we would react. And the next thing I see is I feel like that the lights switched on, and we walk over to the perimeter of the fence, which is like in reality where, in the waking life, where the soccer field would end. You would walk onto the path after you get off the field. But as soon as we walk through this gate, we're now in this like white, totally sterile hallway being lined up against the wall. There's computer monitors everywhere, and it was very indicative that this was a simulation. So yeah, this is supposed to be like a thyroid support of a pill. I heard from Regina Meredith talking on Open Minds that she takes it every day. I wanted to see what would happen if I took it. That's what happened when I took it one day. I had that amazing dream. I've had a couple dreams where I'm driving in a go-kart, and again, it's got to be a post-apocalyptic scenario because there's just no one anywhere. And in this particular dream I'm referencing, I'm driving in an underground tunnel, and there's like refugees like sheltered up against the rock face of the tunnel. And I'm making my way down this tunnel, and it's like there's a light source in there. I don't know what it's coming from, but I mean, I'm on like a dirt road that's got to be 50 to 100 feet wide and at least 50 feet high. And yeah, that's just one of many of its type. I've had dreams where I'm looking at a giant sea vessel hunting large sea creatures, and there's like an audience almost on the beach, and like the bleachers are literally built into the cliff. This is like a totally different form of entertainment in a different time period. Really, really interesting dreams. And on that note, I've had dreams where I'm moving through the jungle and I see very clearly through the water like prehistoric fish, very large ones that for some reason the group I'm with is comfortable sharing the water with. The closest thing I can reference would be the movie Ponyo, where they're literally floating in the water and you can see all these creatures. That feeling, but put it in reality. I had a very profound dream that I crash landed in a pod in the jungle after my parents packed me into it, almost like in an escape. It sounds a lot like Superman, but it didn't feel like it. I was an adult almost, I mean, between 12 to 17 years old in the dream. And it was a janky, black, rattly, I remember, pod, and they were anxiously trying to get me to safety. And I could see from a distance this thing just skyrocketing into a water source, just like a sinkhole of water in the middle of the jungle, surrounded by dense foliage. I remember it surfacing. I remember myself crawling out of it and swimming to shore. Pretty intense. I remember being in some sort of futuristic resort where the closest thing that comes to mind would be Dubai, where there's like this tunnel, almost like in Venice, but in the tunnels it was illuminated with like a neon beautiful light coming from underneath the water, and on the surface of the water were these spheres that people were just relaxing in, just floating on the surface of the water. Very, very beautiful, and very relaxing. Made me want to go back there and live there, real badly. A lot of weird dreams, like about the future. I had a dream where I was in like a mall again, like kind of like Akira, the movie, and I was skateboarding through it. I had a little flat glass pad, and I remember looking on a bench and seeing automatons sitting on it, talking and moving, kind of like the ones you see in Total Recall. It was really weird. I was like, what time period am I in my dream? I've had a dream where I was sitting on the structure of a totally abandoned type of warehouse, just looking out over the plain of a totally desolate planet. It didn't seem like it was Earth. It just seemed like it was a non-developed or completely empty planet. It was just a very, very stark, powerful dream, where I was just exploring the structure all alone. A lot of dreams with just impossible structures, multi-level stacked buildings, kind of like what you see in the movie Elysium. I've had multiple dreams like that. I had a dream where I was again in a hotel and I could look from the distance and I could see skyscrapers being obliterated by giant spaceships, like a mega laser blast. I'm not trying to scare you guys, these are dreams. I had a very powerful dream where I was in a crowd in a parking lot and we were looking up in the sky and we could see multiple objects. I mean, all different shapes and sizes, all different distances in the sky, and the fact that they were such different distances really forced your eye to rack focus and see the depth and how much is above us, and really think about what size these things could be. I mean, they were spiraling, they were jig-jagging around, they were zigzagging, it was really, really beautiful. It was like a ballet of every type of craft you could possibly imagine, at every distance, at every speed, at every color. It was beautiful. I had a dream where I was using a balloon to rescue scraps from a river. It seemed like after something happened, I was doing some sort of rescue operation. I don't know. And this is just about wrapping up the dreams video. I had a dream that this is currently where I live right now, floating on a silver table. I want to say no more than 3 feet or maybe 4 feet by 2.5 feet. I don't even think I was fully on. I was in a fetal position, and I was floating above the couch that I lie on when I watch TV. Um, and there was like 3 or 4 gray beings kind of working on me, doing something in midair. This is probably about 5-6 feet off the ground. This is happening, and yeah, that's all I remember. Is just that snapshot of that happening. These beings were very similar to the ones you see in Jupiter Ascending. There's a lot of disclosure in that movie, and I'm going to continue to do movies where I break down all the hidden agendas Hollywood's inserted for us. But the sun's going down now, as you can see, and yeah, I think that just about after 30 minutes wraps up a lifetime of disclosure-related dreams. All right, I'm going to check back in with you guys later. Take care. Love you.